Speaking of yearbook photos, if these cheeky little smiles are anything to go by, I'd say these brothers would be the ones most likely to become teenage heartthrobs. We'll be chatting to Spandau Ballet's Gary and Martin Kemp about their new comedy.
Yeah,
very shortly. Surprising, but yes.
My hair would be like Martin's about his haircut next Tuesday. I don't want to go on about it.
Maybe you should just go with that. A bit 80s.
Work for Martin. Let's welcome the first of our guests this evening. You know them as pop stars from the multiple platinum-selling band Spandau Ballet, but they're about to show you a whole new side. It's Martin and Gary Kemp.
Evening, both.
How are we doing, guys?
You. Yeah, very good. How are you two?
Yeah, very well.
You look like you're in the same room, but different parts of it.
Yes, we are. I just saw that Martin had my shirt on earlier, and he had to go and change, didn't you?
I know. Made me put my pyjamas on.
You may not have spent a lot of time with each other recently because of lockdown, but you certainly did before, working on this documentary where you kind of playing exaggerated versions of yourselves. Martin, it's your first foray, is it, into comedy?
No, I've done comedy before, and comedy is the nicest thing to do in the world. It's, you know, I've done so many heavy dramas in the past with BBC's EastEnders and stuff that I did, dramas that I've made for ITV in the past, and you take them, the weight of those dramas home. You know, you even take them into your dreams sometimes, those storylines. And so it's so nice to work on a comedy where you can go home, I talk to Shirley and I tell her what we've done today, and we both laugh. And it's all about laughter. And that's what this is. It's a heightened reality and it's complete comedy.
Well, before we talk to you, Gary, about what you made of it, let's have a little look at you in action.
Let's go back to 1990 and the breakup of Spandau Ballet, and I wonder whether or not we could just leave it. We should. Surely we do need to discuss we need to talk about the breakup because obviously that's quite an important part of your career.
We don't really. No, we don't. We're not going to. No, that's not what we're going to deal with.
So what we're going to talk?
No, I'm here to talk about our current projects,
right.
And but you know, I'd like to talk about my art.
Oh really?
You know, I mean that's what we discussed. That's what was. You know, that's what was in.
Okay, we won't talk about it then.
It is brilliant.
And then be silent.
Because it's difficult to know when you're being exaggerated and when you're playing it quite straight. But, Gary, you feel that people have always taken you a little bit too seriously, don't you?
Well, I think, you know, your public image is not often who you really are as a person. And but in saying that, that image of me as taking things rather too seriously was one that we pumped up for this and made me even more pompous than possible, if that. So, I think that was the idea. You know, we took elements of ourselves that maybe were in the public eye and we distorted them beyond. And also, really, it's a commentary on celebrity and a lot of people who have fame for a short period of time and then sort of have self-importance for the rest of their lives and really feel that anything to do with what made them famous isn't important anymore, and it should be about their charities and their art, etc., etc.
Well,
you know, but all people in bands have some kind of self-importance. That's why it's so easy to take the mickey out of. That's why you get so many music mockumentaries.
Well, yeah, and it did remind me of the Bros one, but I think that was real, wasn't it? Well, really.
Yeah, that was real.
So, without giving any spoilers, you sort of uncover something in the documentary. It's all a bit of a joke, obviously, that you're looking for your younger brother. His name's Ross Kemp, and we did some digging, and we managed to track him down. He had a message for you. Here he is.
Hi guys, it's your bro Ross Kemp here. I'm so pleased to be officially joining the Kemp dynasty. I can't wait until we all meet up for a family reunion. We'll have Christmas round mine this year. Us brothers have got to stick together. You guys are gold! Love you, bros.
But you can't wait for Christmas now, can you?
He could be my brother because he's too frightening not to be.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll catch up with you both again in a bit. Thanks for being with us tonight. See you soon.
It's a pleasure.
The Kemps All True is on Sunday, 10 o'clock, BBC Two.
Look forward to that. Now,
we keep hearing, because all parents have been worried, whatever age the children are. You know, children are resilient, don't worry. But of course, you can't help worrying. I mean, how much do you worry about the lack of schooling that the children have had over these last 3-4 months?
So 2 things here. We have education, then we have emotional health. For me, right now, it's the emotional literacy, the emotional resilience that really I would like to see everybody focusing on, because when we have that, the education we can get back to. Right now, we're at this acute stage, and resilience doesn't just come like that for our children. Their brains are still developing when they're very young, so it's our job as adults to really scoop them up, to model the sort of behaviour that builds resilience. And we can only do that collectively and by talking about it and by talking about emotions, and actually also demonstrating to our children that even though mummy and daddy, as so many parents are right now struggling, that even though, be honest about our own emotions, but do it in a way that can say to our children, it's going to be okay. And by showing them that, yes, tough times happen, tough times are going to happen throughout your life, but if mummy and daddy can be there for you, to hold you, to literally say, it's going to be okay, that's what builds resilience. It's hard, I know, because I know personally it's been a really, really tough time.
And
I know
some
I've been
days it's
inundated.
easier to do that than others, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it also not having a bit of a target? Because everyone's been in the unknown for most of the time, not knowing exactly when things are going to get better.
Yeah, and that's where chronic stress comes in. So acute stress, which is what we're all designed for. If a lion came in right now, we'd all be jumping up and it'll be, you know, we're designed for that as humans, but we're not really designed for chronic stress, which is caused by the lack of certainty, the lack of knowledge, the lack of control. And when you sit with that, it sits in the body. And we have that. I think most people now who are facing redundancies, facing illness, will understand that because they're feeling this anxiety constantly. Well, our children are feeling it too, and they will act out that anxiety because they can't articulate it in a way that a lot of adults can.
Well, let's grab Gary back because he's still with us, and I know you've been doing a bit of homeschooling of late, Gary. How's it been going?
Well, you know, it's just tough for us with the homeschooling because there's 3 kids. But I think the little ones, you know, we're lucky. You know, we have access to devices, so I shouldn't really complain. But the young ones have been fine. They're at home with their mum and dad, and that's kind of all right for them. But our 16-year-old has struggled the most, I think. You know, he never got to do his GCSEs. He never got to have that end-of-term party. He doesn't get to see his friends. I mean, only of late is he seeing his friends. And I really felt that, you know, I hope he doesn't mind me saying, but I really felt he was getting the most depressed about the situation than anyone else in the house. And I really worried about that.
I mean, Gary's anxiety will be shared by a lot of parents up and down the country.
And I think all we can do is be really honest about how we're all feeling and to encourage that so we understand that this is a tough time and to be okay with it, and that actually to have the emotions that we're having are normal for what is a very abnormal situation, and also to have hope, because I think, as Gary says, actually there's an opportunity here that we are able to connect with our children more when we're at home. And if we really sit down, put the gadgets away, sit down and play. I always say yes to play in my house, even if we've got only 5 minutes to get to school because my son's in reception. It's that moment when we can reconnect and sit, and whatever it is, it doesn't have to be anything, you know, because I know a lot of parents say it's quite boring to play. Well, actually, we can just sit and be with our kids. They don't need they don't need toys. They need our time right now and our presence, and that's what helps.
On a lighter note, sometimes, though, you don't really want them in the same room as you, especially if you're working from home.
Yes.
I think you might have seen it. You may not have. Many will probably be able to identify with
brilliant.
this mum.
Minister David Cameron was talking about... Oh, I'm really sorry, that's my son arriving. Sorry, really embarrassed. Sorry.
So sorry.
Hold on 1 second.
Can I
Sorry.
have 2 biscuits?
Yes, you can have 2 biscuits. I'm really sorry about that.
Yeah, OK, well, we'll leave Deborah Haynes in full flow there with some family duties, but that...
It's like anything you can, and they know my son will do that. Can I have a biscuit? Knowing.
Yeah.
Well, you just know
real,
that child,
you know.
that child could have asked for anything in that moment.
Yeah.
And the mother would have said,
Gin and
no
tonic,
problem.
absolutely. Now then, we know that apart from what we're talking about, you are a big fan of Spandau Ballet.
Yes.
Which is a bit embarrassing.
They were
obviously,
literally the soundtrack to my sort of early. Yeah.
Favourite track?
True.
We like it. Have you got a question for the boys?
Oh, don't make me giddy. No, actually,
nobody's seen Kate Silverton.
Are you fangirling right now, Kate?
I am actually fangirling quite a bit because they really were. I think I had my first kiss too, True. Yeah, and actually I saw Martin when I was on Strictly because he and Shirley came in and watched. And yeah, no, I don't. I'm
She's gone a little bit red. That's very cute.
One thing you find out in the documentary as well is I didn't realise Martin was married to Pepsi and to Shirley. That's something you discover on Sunday.
I've just got a quick message for you, Martin. Nat, Andy and Finn really want to say a big thank you for raising awareness of brain tumour. Our little boy, they said, underwent Gamma Knife with amazing results. He now inspires others with this story. Finn is 11 now and stable, so thank you so much.
Good on you, Martin.
Not at all. You know, that was a big thing when I went through all my brain treatment period. There was no one that I could look to that had come out the other side. So when I went through it, I made sure that everybody was aware that I went through it.
It's absolutely brilliant.
Thank
Martin,
you so much,
Gary,
both.
Kate, thank you very much indeed.